This is so incredibly
Force of
insane.
energy.
People watch this and accept this?
You don't believe in forces coming out of books?
No, no.
The never-ending story. All right. It's Michael F. Schein again, author of the Hype Handbook and founder and head hype artist of MicroFame Media. I am here with my friend Jeff Greenspan, stand-up comedian and many other things. And today we are going to be reacting to Gabrielle Bernstein, apparently a real miracle worker, a kinder, gentler sort of internet guru. So let's check it out.
Hello, beautiful TED folks. How are you all? So I've been up since 3 a.m. I've had a long day, and I'm on East Coast time, so it's a little funky. And I often get woken up at that hour because this is when the spiritual veil is lifted. This is a beautiful magic hour, that 2 to 3 a.m., when we have this opportunity to connect to the divine energy around us. And I'm often woken
The divine
up
energy is only available
to work.
from 2 to 3 a.m.
Okay. Oh yeah, the witching hour is at 12 a.m. and 3 hours later, the divine energy reasserts itself.
Oh, I see.
How do you not know this?
This is where some of my greatest work happens, 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I got the wake-up call, and I said, okay, let me sit up in my bed, and I sat myself up, and I started to breathe, and I started to connect and center into my internal guidance system. And I kept hearing my ego, my fear voice, say, 18 minutes, 18 minutes, 18 minutes. All we have is 18 minutes to speak to you. And then I kept hearing this other dialogue of, you always have 2 hours, 18 minutes is not long enough, and going into that negative talk of only 18 minutes. And then I just listened, and I breathed into the discomfort of this future tripping, and I just allowed myself to experience whatever that issue was. Within a few seconds, it started to lift, and I listened to my internal dialogue, my inner guidance system. And that voice within me said, speak your truth, and time will expand. And I took a deep breath, and I said, yes, thank you. That's exactly what I needed to hear, as usual. Closed out my meditation, stood up out of my bed, went to my computer, and deleted my TED Talk outline.
All right. So here's what I want to say.
If I go to a comedy if I go to a comedy club and they book me for 15 minutes and I tell them that time will expand, I'm not going to get booked again. I can tell you that right now.
So I think a lot's going on here, right? So we saw a bunch of videos before of these really gruff, sort of over-the-top, hard-selling gurus. And this seems like very different, right? Because she's talking like this and it's all this spiritual stuff. But she's doing a lot of the same stuff. She's presenting herself as a larger-than-life figure. She gets up at 3 in the morning, not 5 a.m., 3 in the morning. And she is so good at speaking that she threw her speech in the garbage. And she's about to give an amazing talk.
I let go of the form. I let go of the how-to or the details or the time frame or the everyone else does it this way crap. And I said, the way I do this is share my truth and time expands. Share my truth and my inspiration can speak through me. Share my truth and I will be of the highest service I can possibly be. And so I listened. I got a few moments of sleep. And then when I was ready to roll out of bed, I said my morning prayer. And I said, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And what would you have me wear?
Speaking of what she's wearing, I talk a lot about
I don't think there's divine intervention in this outfit.
However, I think it's brilliant what she's done. She's packaged herself perfectly because it's this combination of hippy-dippy guru with the beads and all that, but it's also sort of like a modified business suit.
Not a big purple guy.
So you're not Prince.
No, I'm a little taller.
Prince.
And then I began my day. And my TED Talk outline is in the delete section of my Google Docs. And you are going to get my truth. And you will get it in 18 minutes. And my truth is so connected to me today. I live my truth. I walk my truth. I breathe my truth.
What's the truth?
I don't know. She doesn't actually have 18 minutes to tell us. She has about 16 minutes and 40 seconds because she used 3.5 doing this. But let's see.
Okay.
Let's find out the truth.
When I am disconnected from my truth, but I know where to go, I sit down on that meditation pillow and I reconnect and I recalibrate. And I come back home. As a result of living in my truth, I have been guided to be a student and a teacher of the metaphysical text, A Course in Miracles.
I have heard of her, had heard of her all over the place and didn't know much about her. And I looked up, she might talk about this, but she owned a very, very big PR agency before she did this. So while she does a very good job of presenting herself as this seeker of wisdom and all of this, this is no accident. Every word she says is calibrated to get an effect.
And I have, as a result of being a student of the course, experienced many miraculous shifts in my own life. And today I live a life far beyond my wildest dreams. But it was not always this awesome. About 6 years ago, I lived a much different life in a much different way.
She was broke on a couch. That's the template. But let's.
Yeah, Ty Lopez broke on a couch. Let's see if she was broke on a couch.
Spiritually bankrupt. I lived the first 25 years of my life really looking for happiness and self-worth and connectedness in all the wrong places. I was looking for this connection and the inspiration in my credentials or in my relationships or in the amount of money or in a pair of shoes or in the fact that I had access to some great nightclub. Who knows? I was just looking for it in all of these outside circumstances. And it was a really tough search. It was an endless search. It was a difficult search. And it was terrifyingly difficult and sad. It got to a point when I was 21, I opened my first business, and I really felt as though I have arrived because now I have a credential that says I am doing something great in the world. But meanwhile, I just felt completely emotionally bankrupt. And so I continued on for about 5 years living in this way of running this business and living this fast-paced New York City lifestyle and having all of the necessary trappings of what it took to be a happy person, a person who had a lot going on. But in the midst of that, I was anesthetizing all of these deep-rooted fears and deep-rooted anxieties and terrible, terrible thoughts. Thoughts of inadequacy, thoughts of I'm not good enough unless I have a romantic partner. Thoughts of I'm not good enough if I don't get that new client or I have that amount of money. I'm not good enough because I had a terrible case of the when I haves. When I have that new client, I'll be happy. When I have that new pair of shoes, I'll be happy. When I have that new relationship, I'll be happy. And when my when I haves became I haves, I was still unhappy. And then by the time I was 25, I was really trying to anesthetize all this discomfort with all of these different kinds of things, such as food and alcohol and romance and sex and money and, worst of all, drugs.
That's the worst.
25,
All right, look, I don't mean to mock anybody's addiction. That's a tough thing to deal with. It is.
May I?
Yeah, you may. I'm not going to. No, but listen, I don't, if she struggled with that, she struggled with that. That being said, it is a template. It's this idea that I am a larger than life person, but you can be too, because I hit my rock bottom. It's kind of the redemption hero's journey.
It's the hero's journey.
Right?
The other guys
exactly.
were financially bankrupt, and she's using the same language, but about emotions.
And I was physically drained, emotionally deteriorating, and spiritually dead. And then on October 2nd, 2005, I went to sleep, and that night, right before I went to bed, I said to myself, God, universe, whoever is out there, I need a miracle. And I woke up that morning, and I heard an inner voice, a very authoritative, loud inner calling that said to me, get your life together, girl, and you will live beyond your wildest dreams. And I've been listening to that voice ever since. This past October 2nd, I celebrated 6 years of sobriety. Since that, thank you.
Yeah, there you go. I like how she says thank you before the applause. That's great. She's expecting it. And I'm
That's funny.
surprised. I mean, listen, full disclosure, I've given a TEDx talk too, and now it makes me feel like maybe I'm a sham also, because this is now how many minutes in, and there's nothing here. She's meditating and listening to her inner thoughts.
Listen, TEDx talks are an accomplishment, and that not everyone can do them, and she does have a big name. And at the same time, they're far wider reaching than TED, right? I mean,
Of
TED
course,
was
yeah.
technology, education, and design. It had to be a very hard brass tacks kind of thing. But what TEDx does is it gives sort of that signifier of authority that comes along with TED.
But like when I gave a TED talk, I
Yeah.
broke down projects and I gave tangible examples of how you could enact change in your own life or get your own projects out into the world. I didn't just talk about how I prayed to the universe and I was answered by an inner voice. That doesn't seem TEDx worthy, but anyway.
And in that time, I have been physically recovering through my sobriety and through the way I treat my body and what I eat. I have been spiritually recovering as a student of A Course in Miracles. I found the Course through the beautiful transformational teacher, Marianne Williamson. And the way that she interpreted this text.
Wow, there's a lot of presidential candidates, and you know, we had on a past video Donald Trump. Now we have Marianne Williamson.
Made it relevant for me, made it easy for me to understand. And it was very clear by the time I was 26 years old that this was what I was here to do. I am here to be a student and a teacher of A Course in Miracles.
That idea that there's this one book or this one set of beliefs that has all the answers is such a powerful tool for evangelism. 7 habits for highly effective people. If you follow these 7 habits, all of your questions will be answered. It's A Course of Miracles, this one book, and I'm going to evangelize this thing with the rest of my life.
I went to Marianne and I said, how would you suggest I carry this message to my generation? And she said, read the text, do the workbook, read the teacher's manual, and get on your knees and ask God how he plans for you to carry this message to your generation. And I did just that. And so when I went out to pick up A Course in Miracles and allow this book to come into my life in full form, I walked over to my local metaphysical bookstore and I walked in and there's a huge display of A Course in Miracles on sale. I said, that's right. And then I walked over to the display and I picked
the local metaphysical bookstore? Is it a metaphysical place, or is it a bookstore that sells only books on metaphysics?
But every neighborhood has one.
I don't think we have one in Chattanooga.
Picked up some lottery tickets, a pack of cigarettes, and A Course of Miracles.
Wow.
And I held on to the book, and a huge force of energy behind the book dragged me physically to the counter to buy the book.
This is so incredibly insane. People watch this and accept this?
You don't believe in forces coming out of books?
No.
The never-ending story.
No. I think maybe what happened is she walked out without paying and someone forcibly dragged her to the register. Other than that, I don't think anything is moving you through a metaphysical. I don't know. I don't know what the rules in a metaphysical bookstore are. Maybe there are. Maybe you can be pulled through the physical space.
Well, you also brought up a good point that I hadn't considered, that our local metaphysical bookstores, physical locations, are they on the metaphysical plane? Because if they are on the metaphysical plane, I don't see why those forces can't exist.
I feel like if it's in a metaphysical plane, you wouldn't have to pay for it.
What about with metaphysical money?
I don't think there's like
Robux.
I don't think there's Apple Pay in like the metaphysical plane.
Mobucks.
Maybe.
I walked outside onto this busy New York City street and I opened the book and it said, this is A Course in Miracles. This is a required course. I said, all right, show me what you got. And so I have been a student and a teacher ever since, practicing the principles of forgiveness. The primary principle of A Course in Miracles is that a miracle is a shift in perception. The moment that we choose to perceive our life with love, we can create a miraculous change. And through the experience of forgiveness, the miracle occurs. And so one day at a time, one thought at a time, I have been reprogramming my thoughts from fear to love. I have been choosing forgiveness as my primary function. I have been allowing myself to settle into that truth, which is love. One moment at a time, we experience what the Course refers to as the holy instant. The moment that we make that shift, the miracle occurs. The holy instant is when an
I'd love to position myself as an expert in what's going on here, but do you have any idea what she's talking about?
No, I'm kind of disappointed that TEDx gives up. I mean, like you said, it's not the same as TED, but I thought there was some legitimacy to the speakers at TEDx.
that moment when all of that anger and that past resentment just disappears, it goes away, it no longer matters. In that moment, you recalibrate that energy.
I just have to say, I think what's so interesting and what certain people do so well and others don't in terms of building followings, and someone like this who is talking about what we all know is not real, right? Is speaking with such fervent energy and certainty that people just think to themselves on a subconscious level, it's obvious, there's obviously something to this, or else she
Yeah, I mean,
wouldn't
the
be
same thing is
speaking,
in comedy.
yeah.
So I talked with a bunch of comics that sometimes the people who seem to possess the least talent and the lowest work ethic walk into the room with the highest amount of confidence, while the people who really do have insightful observations and really work hard in their writing suffer from imposter syndrome, because
it
they
means a lot.
themselves are a critic.
I mean, look at this face that she's making. Look at that righteous indignation that the whole world doesn't understand the forces of metaphysical, miracle, crystal, zibbity-zoo. It's just, it makes me want to start going to metaphysical books.
Oh, does it?
Piece. You recalibrate that energy of inspiration, of source. In that moment, you are ready to serve. And what happens to each of us in some way, shape, or form, have chosen the ego, the fear-based mind, and have chosen what the Course refers to as the tiny mad idea. Each of us at some point in time, in some way, we have chosen this tiny mad idea, and as the Course says, we detoured into fear, and it was like a descent from magnitude into littleness. And that negative...
I mean, you could cut her some slack because she said she's making this up as she goes along. She probably should have used her original speech.
She probably should have. Yeah.
Voice, that fear-based voice, that one tiny mad idea becomes like a virus in our mind. It takes over our reality and it blocks our truth. And so what I'm not here to do is I'm not here to teach you how do you find your truth. I'm here to teach you how to release the blocks to the presence of that truth. A Course in Miracles is an unlearning. It's the unlearning of the ego's false belief system.
I've unlearned more during this video than you can possibly imagine.
What's your financial connection to the Course in Miracles?
Probably a large one.
I mean, do we know that?
No, we don't know. Anyone who's watching this, if you know what Gabrielle Bernstein's connection financially is to the Course in Miracles, please put that in the comments below. I'd really like to know.
Course in Miracles says the ego is suspicious at best, vicious at worst. And each of us have this horrifying belief system within us. And so it is our job, it is our duty to release those blocks, release those fear-based belief systems, one loving shift at a time, one miraculous change at a time. We release the blocks to that presence of love within us, and we reconnect to that inspiration. When we reconnect to that divine inspiration within us, then we have more energy. Then we have more vitality. Then we have more health. Then we have more direction. Then we can hear. When we're thinking in fear, we cut off communication with that inspiration. When we open up to think with love and we allow that voice of our inner guidance system to come forward, we reconnect with that inspiration, and that inspiration becomes our guide. When inspiration is your guide, you become a miracle worker. And so the work for each of you to do, to begin to release the blocks to the presence of love within you, is to first and foremost become willing. All I needed on October 2nd, 2005 was the slightest willingness to say, God, universe, whoever is out there, show me what you got. And that slight willingness was the catalyst for my greatest change and is the reason
Does
I'm
she not think that
standing here
every
today.
single fucking human being has not said that at some point in their life? But
God,
she got
universe,
answered.
whoever's out there. Yeah.
Speaking to you in my full truth without an outline. And just allowing Source to work through me, allowing this divine inspiration to speak through me. Before I came out here on the stage, I said a prayer with some of my sisters, and we were in the back, and I said, may all the goddesses of the highest truth and compassion come speak through us now. May our body be a vessel.
Her sisters at L'Oreal and Avon.
Yeah.
Carry an empowering message to serve the masses. Get out of my own way. Stop checking my hair out in the mirror. Although I think it still looks good. But recognizing the purpose of this body, understanding the purpose of this body, when you live in your truth and you release the blocks to the presence of love within you, you know why you are here. You know what you need to do, and you know where to go because you are listening. And so the first step, once again, is willingness. Have that slight willingness to change. Each woman on the stage today had willingness in some form to make a change, and that's why she is who she is today. The second step is a full-blown surrender. Release your will. Let go of your plans. Let go of your time clock. Let go of the 18 minutes, right? Let go of the form. Let go of what you think you need. And allow that voice of your inner guidance system to come forward and lead you and direct you and guide you and show you where to go and show you what to say and show you who to speak to and open the doors for you and drag the book to the counter and give you everything you need to support your highest truth. And then the third step is practice the F word, forgiveness. Practice the F word like a full-time job, folks. Forgiveness is the key to recalibrating that loving presence. Forgiveness lets you off the hook. Forgiveness takes that gun that you have been planting in your own head and puts it down. Forgiveness is the catalyst for your greatest change. Become willing to forgive. And the final step is to expect miracles.
Are we really into this now? We have nothing to say.
I'm just amazed that this passes for something that's actually intelligent and cohesive and coherent.
I don't think so. I think you've been sucked into the Course in Miracles, personally.
Well, I was, in the metaphysical realm, I was having an experience. So
that we have full faith that we can be that woman or man that we want to be. When we have full faith that we can show up without an outline, or we can have full faith that we can heal our body or heal our mind or change our entire perspective so we can live a life beyond our wildest dreams. If we're not living in that faith, then what are we doing?
You say that she has, I don't know this woman, you say that she's got hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of followers. I mean, great for her, but so far she hasn't spouted anything really tangible.
I think what you're missing is that people don't care. I think that these are vessels. Everyone we watch is like a shell for people to put their own sort of meaning in, right? It's like make America great again. Great how?
Sure.
Does it mean you want, an ethno state, or does it mean that you want a better economy?
Yeah, there's a lot of power in the blank canvas, I guess.
Yeah.
So expecting miracles is such a massive part of the gig. A Course in Miracles says that those who are certain of the outcome can afford to wait, and wait without anxiety. Doesn't that feel good? Let it all go. Expect miracles. Wait without anxiety. And know that the universe has your back. So may you all be happy. May you all be healthy. May you all live with ease. And may you all expect miracles so that you can be a miracle worker and be inspired and be of high, high service to the world. Thank you very much.
All right, namaste.
It didn't really even seem very good. Like, it seemed really phony and inauthentic. I'm surprised people get wrapped up in that vessel.
I'm sure it's not an accident that the business she started, which she conveniently left out, was a massive or a very, very successful public relations firm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she hasn't stopped using those techniques to build attention for herself, for her new career. What I'd love to hear from anyone, who found this interesting is what other gurus are out there? What are other figures that are really driving massive audiences without having really that much to offer and that much to say? Because if you put them in the comments section, we'd love to dissect them and sort of figure out what we think is going on there. So in the meantime, where can people find you, Jeff?
If they want to come see me live doing comedy, they can go to thatguyimet.com, and that has all my socials and my comedy dates.
And definitely check out the Hype Handbook and subscribe down below if you want to see more videos like this.